we are in an era of portal combat in college football. An era where the transfer portal giveth and it taketh away. And every school has a choice about how they want to handle it. Again, I told you, this is where we are in college football today. NIL is what it is until it's something else. And everybody's trying to figure it out. And I harbor no ill will toward any school that is choosing to maximize their NIL potential and use it to their advantage. College football, specifically recruiting, is a zero-sum game. And if you can do it, you should. I hope I've been clear enough on that point. Because from here, what I want to talk about is the news coming out of Columbus, Ohio, and Ryan Day. Now, we all have an opinion on Ryan Day down here in SEC country. Honestly, I don't think we're far off. I think we're actually pretty on the beam. And any college football fan worth their salt is going to acknowledge the fact that Ryan Day is a good football coach. No one's saying he can't coach. We're nitpicking when we're taking shots at Ryan Day. Let's be honest. Let's call it what it is. Ryan Day has a 56-8 overall record at Ohio State. He has 2 Big Ten titles to his credit, 3 college football playoff appearances, once into the title game where he took a loss. But things have changed in Columbus. Things have changed in Columbus to the point where Ryan Day took a look around at what was happening in the Big Ten and nationally and said, fuck, this is what we got to do. Whether I like it or not, at a place like Ohio State, we have to do what I'm about to tell you we have to do, or I'm getting fired or packing my stuff, taking my ball and going home. Because otherwise, there's no point in trying to do this. He looked at what happened at Michigan, who did whatever it took to win. And what happened? Michigan won that national championship this year. Say what you want about how they did it. Lord knows I have my opinions. But they did. Now, it might be the least relevant national championship in memory. I know it is for me. It's like it didn't even happen. I mean, Michigan goes out, they play the game, they win the game. And then what happens right on the heels of that? I mean, like Nick Saban retires and now nobody cares. Nobody cares about what Michigan did. Certainly not down here in the South, not in the SEC. We see that as some sort of aberration that was stolen with an asterisk and so on and so forth. I think that's the prevailing feeling. That's not the feeling in Columbus. No, they saw everything Michigan did, and boy, did it sting. They saw them do whatever they had to do to win. And then those dudes went right out there and did it. So Ryan Day spent a large part of 2022 saying, hey, we're broke. He went out and talked to business leaders and everybody that would listen and said, we have to have money to compete. If you want an elite roster that's going to beat the top program in the country, the University of Georgia, this is what we have to do. And in the process, while he was ramping up, the worst possible thing happened, which was Michigan proceeded to beat Ohio State 3 consecutive years, win 3 consecutive Big Ten titles, and cap off this season with a national championship. Holy cow, if you're Ryan Day. So yeah, he was like, we have to change some things. So what did he do? Ryan Day spent all that time talking to all those business owners and said, I need some money. And they delivered. And boy, Ryan's not wasting it. In this recruiting cycle, traditional recruiting and transfer portal cycle. The report is that Ohio State has spent $13 million. $13 million on player retention, roster management, and recruiting. Friends, I don't care who you are, that is a huge number. And that number was the number before what went down with Caleb Downs, the Alabama safety. And one more thing about Alabama, because it's relevant and they pop back into this discussion. Listen, Alabama fans, we get it. We know Georgia is your Super Bowl now. We are all very aware. But still, watching Alabama fans celebrate their player going to Ohio State was Twilight Zone level stuff. They need to check themselves. Alabama fans were crazy because of stuff like that. So, Ryan Day went out, asked his donors for the money. They delivered, and boy, he's putting it to good use. Let's just take a look at what Ryan has been able to do for his roster with this big old fat bankroll he had to play with. First, he used it for player retention. Wide receiver Emeka Buka was projected first-round draft pick. He's back. Denzel Burke, defensive back, projected second-round pick. He's back. Running back Travion Henderson, projected third-round pick. He decided to come back. But wait, there's more. Tommy Eichenberg, linebacker, decided to come back. Guard Donovan Jackson decided to come back. Defensive tackle Tyleek Williams decided to come back. Defensive back Lathan Ransom decided to come back. Defensive end Jack Sawyer decided to come back, as did defensive end JT Tuiomoloau. All of those players could have gone to the NFL, but in Michigan fashion, said we have unfinished business. Ryan Day made it worth their while, and they decided to come back to Ohio State to try to rectify what they see as an injustice in the Big Ten and the New World Order. But Ryan was not done. $13 million goes a long way. When he started trying to bolster his roster through recruiting, whether it was traditional high school recruiting, like with the number one overall player in the country and the number one wide receiver in the country, Jeremiah Smith, needless to say, he could offer a very appealing, a very lucrative NIL deal for Smith to consider before he made his commitment and ultimately decided to sign with Ohio State. But then Ryan and Ohio State turned their attention to the transfer portal, where they proceeded to go out and get a new interior offensive lineman from Alabama, Seth McLaughlin, the best running back in the SEC and potentially in the nation in Quinshon Judkins, who, wait, let's pause for just a second right here and point out where Judkins is coming from. Ole Miss, where Lane Kiffin is the head coach. The Twitter-crowned king of the portal. Judkins left Ole Miss, where they are free with the funds, sitting in position to be the number one running back on a team that's a top 5 preseason squad. He walked away from all of that to go to Ohio State, where he's going to share carries. Now, not a bad plan. If you're a running back, sharing carries is a pretty good idea, actually. And if you're going to be well rewarded for making that decision, showcase your skills in an offense that's probably going to score some points, more power to you. Oh, by the way, Ohio State also picked up a starting quarterback who just happened to win a Big 12 title last year at Kansas State. and a freshman All-American who was Mr. Everything for Alabama last year, and Caleb Downs decided to join Ryan in Columbus and play for the Ohio State Buckeyes. Now, I do not begrudge Ryan Day, Ohio State, or any other school about playing the game the way it has to be played today. And that's all they are doing. But it is still insanity. It is the wild, wild west when it comes to NIL and college football right now. But it's like I said, your team has a choice. My team has a choice. How they want to play the game, what they want to invest in it. Rare is the occasion that you are going to have a player like 5-star plus safety KJ Bolden, who admittedly, straight into a microphone, admitted that he took a pay cut, took less money, took a less lucrative NIL deal to come to the University of Georgia and play for the coaches he has the opportunity to play for. That is the rarity these days. And again, I'm not blaming the players. I'm not blaming the schools. Just pointing out that most folks are going to go where they can get the best deal for themselves personally. The bottom line when it comes to Ohio State heading into 2024 is that it is national championship or bust. Period. There is no in between. There is no coming up short against Michigan. There is no not making it to the championship game. You don't get by with saying we competed, we got to the title game. That is not the position that Ohio State and Ryan Day are in heading into 2024. And it's a situation of his own making. As if the Heat were not great enough with Michigan doing everything that they're doing. Now there are zero excuses for Ohio State, for Ryan Day. Doesn't matter. Injuries, don't care. You have built your roster with insurance. That's what some of this money is. They had a really good running back. They went and got another one. Why? Because running backs get hurt. They had heirs apparent at quarterback, but they went and got another one. Why? Because they thought they could make their roster better. That's fine. But if things don't go the way Ohio State wants them to go, if Ryan Day fails yet again to win a national championship, I mean, I'm not telling you that Ohio State would fire Ryan Day. But I'm not telling you that either. I mean, in this world of college football, if he were to leave for any reason, you think what happened at Alabama was bad. Imagine what would happen at Ohio State. Another top-tier program with a roster on par with Alabama. I'm very interested to see what's going to happen with Michigan. Harbaugh looks like he's out the door. If he's in the NFL, what are those Michigan players going to do? It will be interesting. Essentially, when you have a coach leave in this era of college football, it blows up your roster. There will be change. Things will not remain the same. The teams that manage to navigate that change the best are the teams that can stay at the top and keep their foot in the door to have a chance to win those national championships that more and more seem to be limited to just a handful of schools. And NIL has changed the game in that a team that you think might not be there, if they pull things together, can interject themselves into that conversation in a hurry. Ryan Day had about enough of it and said, "Fuck it," and we are all in. He's pushed everything to the center of the table. That is what college football is in 2024. Between the time this is being spoken into my microphone until we get into college football season, there will not be two more interesting stories across the landscape of college football than what's happening at the University of Alabama, than what's happening at Ohio State University. And then, oh, by the way, you can't forget about that program down here in Athens, who's going to be right there in the conversation as well. So the bar is set at such a level right now because of the work that Kirby Smart and Georgia are doing, that you have to do whatever is necessary if you feel you have a chance to compete. And it doesn't matter anymore who you are. Ohio State saw their bitter rival just twist the knife by claiming that national championship this year. And now they're responding. The tit for tat, the nuclear arms race that is college football right now when it comes to NIL and the transfer portal is insanity. And it's only going to be crazier and be more and more wild until it's not.
So how about them fucking dogs? That's what I told them.